Our first speaker is Michael Wildauer, and he studied molecular biology and went to pursue his PhD in molecular biology at University of Vienna. And then he went from academia to the pharmaceutical industry, and now he is head of digital and data science at Takeda. And I'm very happy that we have you here, Michael, and we'll hand over now to you.
Thank you, Felix. I'm going to share my screen. I hope now that everybody can see my slide deck. If that's the case, then let's get started. I was approached to give you a short talk about how you can transition from life science to a career in data science, and I'm very honored to be here. And I have structured the talk in 2 parts. So first is a very short company introduction so that you know what Takeda is actually doing. And then I'm focusing on the career in data science. For the company, so for Takeda, we are very proud to have a very long history of 240 years already, where we are part in the pharmaceutical industry. We are a Japanese company that is producing medicine, serving patients all over the world. We are focusing on rare and on complex diseases. We have over 50,000 employees worldwide. Our company headquarters are located in Japan, and we also have currently production and manufacturing sites in more than 80 countries of the world. In terms of therapeutic and focus areas, where we are working. So on the left side, you see our 4 therapeutic areas: oncology, neuroscience, gastroenterology, and rare diseases. And the focus areas are the plasma-derived therapies and the vaccines. I am, and most of my colleagues in Vienna are working in the plasma-derived therapies area. What I also want to point out, because we are located in Vienna, and that's, I think, also very interesting for you. What are we doing in Vienna here is we also have a very long history. The site itself, the first production buildings are here for almost 65 years. We are almost 3,000 employees in Vienna, so that's quite large. I think we are the largest pharmaceutical employer in Vienna. We have more than 25 products in Vienna that are being produced, and you see that we are fractionating more than 3.5 million liters of human plasma each year. That's quite a lot. We are located in the 21st district in Vienna, and what's also very nice is we have everything here, starting from plasma logistics, so getting the bags in down there, to the pharmaceutical production. So we have the entire value stream in Vienna, and that's really interesting because you have lots of data available from these different steps. With that, I'm going to switch gears. I'm coming to the second part, so a career in data sciences. And for that, I'm going to tell you a little bit how I ended up there, what is important if you want to transition into this field, and what I can share for you. So now to my introduction. As Felix already mentioned, I have a master in molecular biology. I followed up with the PhD in RNA structure biochemistry. I finished in 2015. Decided then to not pursue academia change into pharmaceutical industry. I applied at that time Baxalta. That was the company's name. We had some name changes going on over the last couple of years. I applied as a trainee here. That's something which I can recommend wholeheartedly, because it is very interesting. You're going to work on a lot of different projects that are very often entirely unrelated to your educational background. So you have to get up to speed pretty quickly. But that's nice. That's a challenge, and you're getting accustomed to industry and to pharma industry very quickly. You will have first experience of leadership, of leading teams, of complicated or complex projects. And you can also see here highlighted in red, one of my projects for 8 months was the assessment of IT capabilities in one of our departments, where I had a look what is available for that department in terms of software, in terms of skills of the employees. And I compared this to the ideal situation where the department has everything available, software, hardware, tools, training, so that they can fulfill their tasks most efficiently. You also see in my hobbies and interests section that I have always been interested in IT, in home automation, in programming. So besides life sciences, my second choice would have been IT as a study. And I also have some other non-nerdy hobby like gardening, friends visiting. Corona makes this a little bit more complicated at the moment, but I also, of course, like spending time with my 2 little kids and my family. That's for my background. After my traineeship of 2 years, I kind of stayed in the field. So you see, there's a red line where I had projects that are very IT related. I started afterwards to work in data analysis for root cause investigations, where we applied statistical methods like multivariate data analysis, principal component analysis, or things like that. So lots of data wrangling, collecting data from source systems and so on. And preparing them for stakeholders, for communicating that kind of stuff. In 2019, I was asked if I would like to take over the role of head for digital and data science in our manufacturing science department. That's the role that I'm in now. In this role, I am responsible for 2 data scientists and 2 developers that report to me. Interestingly, I had to recruit my entire team remotely during the pandemic, and I am also leading my team, mostly remotely, since all of us are working in home office. We are serving about 60 colleagues in everything digital and data science related in our department. I'm also responsible for an annual budget that is being used or that I'm using to spend on external projects, services, and I'm a key contact point for our global IT teams that I'm aligning with. So what is my team doing? We have mainly 3 pillars that we are focusing on. First is everything related to data that is already available. So we collect the data, we are processing the data from various source systems. Some of you might be familiar with ETL, extract, transform, load. We are doing statistical analysis on that kind of data with various machine learning models, everything that is available. Of course, we are also performing explorative data analysis, so where we simply, which is not solving or asking a specific question, which is more in the way of you take the entire data set, look for interesting correlations, and then see if you can deduct something that is important for our manufacturing processes. Can we improve a certain parameter with that kind of analysis? We're also training the organization in terms of what can be done in data science. That's, for example, where can I apply a machine learning model, where I can't. I am applying a machine learning model. What are the pitfalls, and so on. The second part is about data availability and visualization. So here we are working very closely with our other teams to deploy solutions to collect the data, contextualize the data. We are working with Takeda's data lake extensively to provide data sets for our colleagues. We are building dashboards for KPI calculations and so on. So that's also a big part. And the last part is more something that is in my responsibility, so not so much in my team. That's the organizational development, where we have a look what kind of skills and capabilities do we need in the next couple of years in terms of technical skills, but also capabilities, which I then use to build roadmaps. So how can we close gaps that I have identified here? And of course, I'm also coordinating then this implementation and periodically revising those goals. The next thing I would like to share with you is something what I'm doing and more interestingly, what I'm not doing. So I'm in no way a domain or a subject matter expert. I have a good understanding of the technology of current trends, but I'm not the expert for a technical decision. I'm more in the field of collecting requirements, having an open eye for potential solutions that can be applied to a problem in our organization. Therefore, myself writing code is very little. I am responsible for the strategic approach of the data science group, meaning that I'm not so far involved in the actual data analysis anymore. I have a lot of coordination meetings ongoing. I'm representing my local team in the global environment. I'm aligning with my counterparts on the other manufacturing sites to make sure that we have a common understanding. I am the one who has to polish business cases for external projects, review them, decide if you would like to pursue them or not. And of course, I'm also defining the priorities for my team and assigning the tasks to the team members. What is very important is that I have to be comfortable that I have to trust my team members with their technical decisions. As I said, I'm not the expert. I have the bigger picture. I understand what they are telling me, but the final technical decision is something that my team members make, and this is not. This is where I simply have to rely on their decision. Of course, I also have to support to defend those decisions in global meetings. I have to argue why this decision was being made, and I have to have the back of my team for those decisions. I am also presenting a lot of content to higher management and explaining it to an audience that is maybe in terms of data science not so well educated. So I have to be able to break down complex topics in an easy to understand way. For me, a typical day is stuffed with a lot of meetings. That could be that I have a team meeting with one of my team members. Of course, I have exchanges with my other digital and data science heads in the different sites. I'm also responsible for example, prepare the budget forecast for the next financial year, Then after lunch, we have, for example, department SureFix, where we are discussing everything related to our department. It is entirely possible that in the afternoon I'm giving a training session for our colleagues in the quality control department about the data lake, how they can use it, what they find in the data lake, and so on and so forth. I'm also reviewing the business cases, for example, for external projects, finalizing them and making sure that they are in a good shape so that we can continue with those projects. And of course, I have a lot of global alignment meetings, community of practices where we are sharing our approaches and so on. In general, the working language at Takeda in my team is English. We are communicating a lot with our global stakeholders. Therefore, English is the way to go. German, of course, is also preferred for the local level, but in the end, English is very common. My meetings are almost entirely exclusively remote due to the pandemic. In terms of working hours, our standard contract is 38 hours per week, but it is also possible to work part-time. That's, for example, the case for myself. I recently have decreased my hours to 31 due to my private situation with two small children that are sometimes very exhausting, but of course, very, very lovely. I want to end with an overview of skills and tools that I would see fitting if you want to pursue a career in data science. So you have to have a profound interest in technology. This is a very technical field. There's a lot of stuff ongoing in the academia in data science, which ends up in the industry. And you have to be on top of that and understand what's going on. Also, a basic knowledge about statistics is always good to have. Distributions, what statistical test to apply in which situation. That's also very important. And I would argue that a beginner knowledge of programming, coding is also really, really helpful because you will work with a lot of scripts, being it in Python, being it in R. And if you have an understanding what these scripts are doing, that the colleagues share with you, that makes your life much more easier. For the pharmaceutical industry and not just for data science, I recommend to get also a background knowledge in good manufacturing practice, good documentation practice, anything in GXP. Yeah, and in terms of software that we are using, I can only name the open source software. Of course, Python, R is highly used in my group. Plotly, Dash, Shiny for visualization in terms of data formats, pandas and feather data frames are doing a great job for us. And of course, many more libraries as well. I think with that, I still have used more than 15 minutes. I would like to finish here. And yeah, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that came up or have a discussion with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much for this very nice presentation. It was very clear. Maybe I will start with a question until people have made up their minds and wrote some questions in the chat, because I will read it from them from there. This data lake you were mentioning, what's this?
The data lake is actually a method or a system that collects the data from various source systems, contextualizes the data in a way that you can use it, meaning that you don't have to go into each source system, do a data extraction, and then combine those kind of data sets again for the final data set. You can simply go to the data lake and get your data there.
Thank you. And another question, you said that you reduced your working hours because because of your children, of your private life, how easy was this in your company to argue, or do you have there a very open-minded policy at Takeda?
Of course, I'm speaking more for my department. We have a very open-minded policy here. That's not an issue. The discussion with my boss was very easy. So she was very understanding, and I think in general we are a very good employer in terms of work-life balance.
Yeah, I think that's a great plus. I have a question from Janos Kondry from IMC Krems. Is the work of your team mostly concentrated to the Austrian EU parts of Takeda, or are they more generally applied to the whole of Takeda infrastructure?
I would say so. It is mostly related to plasma-derived products, and with that regard, it can be that we are also working on problems that have come up in, for example, the US or in Italy, but we stay mainly within our plasma-derived therapy business unit.
Okay. Then there is a question from Hina Mansour. And the question is, what competencies are needed to switch from one field to another, especially if you don't have any prior related experience? Even landing a traineeship seems difficult for first-timers. I'm looking to transition from plant sciences to biopharmaceuticals.
That's a tough one. I'm trying to answer it as accurate as possible. So I would say my experience showed me that very often people are not aware that with background in life science, there are actually a lot of opportunities in the pharmaceutical industry. So you cannot only go into, for example, bio life sciences or anything that has life sciences into the job description that has been posted. I would have a look for almost anything technical in the pharmaceutical industry. There's a lot of what you can do. You can start in our department, manufacturing sciences, where we have product experts that are responsible for assessing product quality, optimizing the production processes, and so on. You can do similar things in the manufacturing department, where you are a little bit more towards the actual process. So how big has to be? How to explain that? What's important for, I don't know, throughput or for optimizing process parameters. That are very often people that have life science background. You can also go into the quality control department. There are also people needed with life science background. And of course, you can also apply for the traineeship. That's also entirely a possibility.
Yeah, thank you. That was quite a nice answer. We have another question. How did you start learning the data science tools or program languages? What would you advise students which are interested in this or wanted to start?
In the end, there are no dedicated data science programming languages. Of course, there are languages that are, I would say, commonly used. That's, for example, Python or R, because they offer a lot of functionality that is needed, and there are a lot of libraries available that you can use. In the end, in my opinion, it does not really matter where you start. You can also start with programming in C or in C#, if that is something that you're interested in, because this is more a way of thinking and of analyzing a problem that you have to get accustomed to. In my opinion, if you start from the beginning and if you would like to transition into this field, then I would recommend Python.
Okay, thank you. That's also Python. And then there is a quite specific insider-related question, I think, from Alexander Hansel. How have the several changes in ownership and possibly leadership influenced your work throughout your time at the Austrian sites?
Yeah, of course. As I said, so we had two changes of ownership, at least since I'm in the company. For those not familiar, I started at Baxalta, which was then acquired by Shire, and then Shire was acquired by Takeda. Of course, okay. Those acquisitions are always come with changes. Some of them were pleasant, some of them were not so pleasant. That's how it is. In the end, at the moment, it's really good. Takeda has a good working model of and balance between what can be done locally, what needs to be done on a global level. So that works out nicely. But of course, in order to really move forward in with a department towards a common goal, it is much more easier if you don't have a change of ownership in between. I think that's kind of a given. If you have kind of a stability in your organization, you are more about to thrive and to be productive than reorganizing your roles and responsibilities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you have any colleagues from your studies which went the other sides of the career ladder, so to say, the stayed in academia? And how do they compare their situation now to yours?
Yes, of course. So some of my peers stayed in academia. There are a lot of them that are very happy that were able to pursue their goals, to end up in a position that they wanted to end up in. We are in contact. I have a regular exchange with them. It's different. Of course, they have the liberty to work on projects where they can choose that they would like to work on. That's something that is a little bit less the case in the pharmaceutical industry. Of course, I have a goal, a department goal, a site goal that we have to achieve. That's I would say the main difference.
Okay, yeah, clear answer. Thank you for that.